stop, it was because of the tag, and that he was going to run his information. He couldn't run the paper tag, so he ran. He explained to Mr. Gordon that he would need to run the VIN number on his vehicle. Officer Martin ran that VIN number, and during this time, Captain Michael Schulman of the Livonia Police Department also arrived. Schulman got out of his car, and while Martin was waiting to hear the radio traffic back from dispatch on the VIN number, Schulman approached Gordon and asked him to get his hands out of his pockets. At first, Gordon was hesitant, and then he asked him, did he have any weapons on him, and he handed him out of his left jacket pocket a pocket knife. And as he handed Captain Schulman the pocket knife, he pulled his right hand out of his right jacket pocket and shot Officer Schulman in the shoulder. It went in through his bicep and into his chest cavity. And then he also shot Officer Martin. The bullet that hit Officer Martin struck his aspeton, and then it went into Officer Martin's hand. At that time, Gordon fled the scene. He was still armed. EMS arrived, provided medical aid to Officer Schulman and Captain Schulman and Officer Martin. Several law enforcement agencies assisted in the search of Gordon. He was apprehended near, can't remember the exact name of the road, Stonebridge, I think, between two driveways. He was found, the gun was found on him. He resisted some during arrest. He was arrested and sent to the Brandon County Sheriff's Office, where I attempted to interview him, and he requested...
No, please don't comment on the silence.
Okay.
Were Officer Schulman and Martin, were they in uniform?
Yes.
Their standard uniform?
I believe Officer Schulman was not in standard uniform, but he had, the vest that he was wearing, the ballistics vest, had police and all written on it. It had a badge.
They had the badge of office displayed on their uniform? Did they identify themselves as police officers?
Yes.
To Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Did Officer Schulman have his body camera working at the time?
Yes, he did.
Is the incident reported?
It is.
Has that been preserved?
It has, yes, sir.
What caliber weapon did Mr. Gordon have on his person?
I believe it was a .40 caliber.
And were the projectiles recovered in this case?
Yes.
What about the shell casings?
Yes, they were both recovered.
Okay. They matched the caliber of the weapon that was found in Mr. Gordon's possession?
They did.
Did all this take place in Franklin County?
It did.
No further questions? Thank you.
Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
Okay, so the initial contact in this case was for serving a warrant, understood you correctly?
The initial contact with Mr. Gordon?
Between the defendant, my client, and the police.
It was for a traffic stop.
Okay, and what was the reason for that traffic stop?
The drive-out tag.
Drive-out tag.
It was a handwritten license tag.
And just to confirm, you did say the body camera was on?
Officer Schulman's body camera was on, yes.
Yeah. And you matched the caliber of the weapon to the weapon recovered off my client?
To the projectiles.
Have you actually set the gun on for ballistics yet?
I do not know if it's been sent. The ballistics have not been completed.
Okay. So your investigation is still ongoing at this
Yes.
point? Okay. That's closed at the moment.
Especially with regards to the vehicle that Mr. Gordon was in, can you describe it for the judge?
It was, I can't remember the year model, I think maybe a 2012. It was a Nissan Altima. It had been stolen from a Domino's Pizza in Greer, South Carolina.
And how long before this incident had it been stolen?
It was stolen on December the 8th, I believe was a Thursday, and this incident happened on a Monday, so just several days before.
Okay. And was during the course of your investigation, did you discover whether or not Mr. Gordon was out on bond for any offenses?
Yes, he was.
For what offenses?
Attempted murder.
Out of what jurisdiction?
South Carolina.
Did you obtain a warrant for bringing theft by bringing stolen property into the state?
I did. No, it's not theft. No, it's a different warrant. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the warrants that were obtained were for 2 counts of criminal attempt to commit murder
Yes.
and 2 counts of aggravated assault on a peace officer
Yes.
and 1 count of possession of a firearm and commission of a felony.
Yes.
And is there additional? And do you have additional probable cause to believe that Mr. Gordon also committed the offense of theft by bringing stolen property into the state?
Yes.
What was the condition of Officers Martins and Schulman after the incident?
They were both injured, both taken directly to Greenville Memorial Medical Center. Officer Martin had surgery several days later to remove the projectile from his hand, and Captain Schulman stayed in the hospital for an extended period of time. And once he was sent home, released from the hospital, his bullet was removed.
Have both projectiles been taken into evidence for the purpose of ballistically comparing them to the weapon recovered from Mr. Gordon?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Was my client ever tested for gunshot residue?
No, sir.
No.
Not
Okay.
to my knowledge.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And then I know you identified my client in court today, but what is that identification based off of?
The night of the incident, we had a driver's license, which he provided to Officer Martin during the traffic stop. It was his driver's license from South Carolina. It had his name, his date of birth, his photo, all of that. And when he was apprehended, everything matches. During my interview with him, he provided the same date of birth and address as what was on his license.
Okay. And has his identification been confirmed with the officers?
Yes.
Okay. That's perfect.
Any other questions for witness?
No, Your Honor.
Step down.
No, Your Honor. We submitted. We've asked the court to bind over an additional count of theft by bringing stolen property to the state.
Will that be misdemeanor or felony count that you're asking for?
Felony count.
Okay. You have any witnesses, sir?
We would oppose the additional count of theft by receiving stolen property. They can always go back and indict with grand jury if they'd like on that one. Otherwise, we defer to Your Honor's wisdom.
Court finds by probable cause standard that the defendant did commit the offense of criminal attempt to commit murder ×2, aggravated assault upon a police officer, 2 counts of that as well, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony crime, and theft by bringing stolen property in the state. Case will be bound over to Superior Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Prayer in order.
And next we call the State of Georgia versus James Quinquarius Williams, 16 tax 651A.
What case is that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
16 tax 651A. State versus James Quinquarius Williams.
The state calls investigator Khari Bullard. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the evidence you give the case now and hearing to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat and state your full name and spell your last name for the court.